Hi everyone, and welcome to part 2 on how to immigrate to Canada without a job offer. In our first video, we had a look at the priority skills stream, which falls under Newfoundland and Labrador provincial nomination programs. Today, we'll be focusing on an initiative that falls under Manitoba called the Morden's Community-Driven Immigration Initiative. Morden is a city located in the province of Manitoba near the United States border, and it's the 8th largest and fastest growing city in Manitoba. This initiative is a support program for those who will apply for permanent residency in Morden, but through the Manitoba Provincial Nominee Program, or as we better know it, the MPNP. So if an applicant is not able to qualify on their own to apply to the MPNP, they can apply to this initiative for a support letter. So there is preference that will be given to applicants with recent experience in 4 of these occupations. First one is welders, that would be NOC 7237. Then there's industrial painters, that's NOC 9536. And woodworking machine operators, that's NOC 9437. And mechanical assemblers, that's NOC 9526. So if your occupation falls under one of these 4, then you should be given preference to apply under this program. It is important, however, to do check their website frequently as the occupations do change from time to time. If your occupation falls under one of these 4, then you do not need an express entry profile, and your CLB for all 4 language abilities needs to be at least CLB 5 or higher to qualify. If your occupation is not one of those 4, then you do need an express entry profile, which means that you would need to score the CLB 7 in all 4 language abilities. Further eligibility criteria for all occupations is that you have to be between the ages of 21 and 45, and you have no other connection to other parts of Canada. That means no friends, no relatives, no previous employment, or any previous studies in other parts of Canada at all. You must have completed a post-secondary education or training program of at least 1 year for which you have received a diploma, degree, or certificate. MPNP also requires you to have settlement funds depending on the size of your family, so be sure that you have the required settlement funds available as liquid funds. And a further requirement is that you need to have at least 2 years of full-time work experience in the last 5 years. To gain permanent residency through this initiative, you'll need to go through several steps. Your first step would be to submit an application which will tell Manitoba that you are interested in this program. You would need to submit your online application form, your CV or resume for yourself and your spouse if applicable, a copy of your passport, recent IELTS results, and proof of your settlement funds. If your profile is selected, then you will be given an invitation to come visit the city of Morden. This will be at your own cost. So that'll be step 2. Step 3 would be that during the visit, you will research Morden and prepare for an interview with an MPNP officer at the end of your visit. This visit will also give you the opportunity to connect with future possible employers. Your interview at the end of the stay would be with an NPNP officer, and this would be considered as step 4. The officer will decide during the meeting whether you are a good fit for the Manitoba Community-Driven Immigration Initiative and Manitoba, and if they feel that you are, then you will be given an invitation to apply for the MPNP. Then, once you've got your invitation to apply for MPNP, we'll move on to step 5. So this is at this stage where you would apply for a provincial nomination program through MPNP. Once you have submitted your application will be reviewed and assessed by an officer from MPNP, and they will determine whether you meet all the minimum requirements for this program. Step 6 would be to actually get the nomination letter from MPNP. Once you've got your provincial nomination letter, you can then tackle the last step, which is to apply for permanent residency. So you can add the nomination to your express entry profile if you do have an express entry profile, and this will give you an additional 600 points, which will obviously give your score a much needed boost and a guaranteed invitation to apply. If you'll submit your permanent residency application through a non-express entry stream, then you need to make sure that your nomination certificate is included with your permanent residency application. So let's have a look at the pros and cons of this initiative. So I think a definite pro would be that no job offer is needed and that the selected occupations only needs a minimum of CLB 5 for IELTS. The cons are that only a handful of occupations do get preference. Another con is that you need to actually come visit Morden and see an NPNP officer in person, and this is at your own cost. The biggest con here is that it is a small program and only 50 families are supported each year. But with that said, if you fall under one of those 4 occupations that we mentioned earlier on, then why not give it a try and see if this is your pathway to Canada. Anyway, good luck. I hope you enjoyed the video.